Guys, this is Sean McGarry coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the Music Salon where great things happen. Hope everyone's doing awesome out there. Hey man, I got a fun little lesson today I want to talk about. And if you listen to that intro I was doing, I was playing over this kind of, I don't know what you call it, chord progression. It could be almost kind of a Latin thing, jazzy, classical, lots of elements. And we're going to talk about that today, okay? And I'm going to have tabs for that little solo I did at the beginning and a backing track and some more bonus material on this on my Patreon page. Link below for that. And let's get into it. So this sound, man, we're in a key of A minor. And what's going on here is you're taking the one, the minor, and you're going to the 5 chord, and you're making that a 7 chord or dominant 7 chord. And that's a really cool sound. I mean, you know, my mind always goes to like Santana, if you think of like the song Smooth, you know. That's an example of like in a pop song, man. But you hear that stuff in Latin and all kinds of stuff, as I mentioned. So with that being said, you kind of need to navigate your way around the fretboard a little bit to solo over this and to just even play it, right? So again, the chord progression is just A minor. If we did it real simple, E7. So in that backing track, there's not a lot going on rhythmically, but it's just kind of laying the bed for what we're going to get into here today. So lots of cool ways you could play that. You know, let's say if we did an A minor bar chord up here. Here's a cool little trick. When you play that chord, your ring finger is already on the 5. So if you just lift that finger up and play a C shape or a C7, look at that. Okay, so that right there is a great little tip. So let's just start with that idea. Now, some people, my back's itching, might call this the harmonic minor, and that is definitely correct, but that's a lot of thinking to do. So I'm going to just go ahead and tell you what the harmonic minor is, okay? So for in a key of A, the harmonic minor scale would be this. Okay, very different sounding, okay? You know, there's lots of ways to describe that. Maybe leave some adjectives below of what you think that sounds like. I'm not even going to say anything because I have lots of things that I think it sounds like. So anyway, it's a very recognizable sound, right? Very cool sound, but you got to know when to use it, okay? And when you use that is when the 5 chord is a dominant 7 chord. Now, that's a lot of thinking to do, I know, so hang with me. So in this case, but it's sort of, here's why it's not really correct, because you can't really, you know, and I learned this stuff, man, young, and I learned it like I'm just told you, but it's not really 100% correct. So if I play that harmonic minor over the A minor, it works, but it's really meant for over that 5 chord. Now, hang with me for a second. The reason that works is because look at the note we altered in A minor, and I'm probably going off the rails here right off the bat because I want to make this simple lesson today. So please hang in with me. But check this out. If I play A minor, the normal A minor, that's the one we play 99% of the time. But what you do is you raise this guy up a half step, and you get this sound. Okay, and that G sharp, if you look at that G sharp note, well look, you can see that that's what's called the major third of E. So that's why that scale works, that sound. So over that E7, listen, E7, that's the E harmonic minor. So that sound works perfectly over that. But here's what I like to think about. Just look at the chord, okay? So if you're playing an A, let's just say real simple, A minor pentatonic. Just start with that. So when that chord progression is playing, right here. Just play your pentatonic, but land on that note. You can see it. It's the only note in that, that's not really in that scale or the chord. I mean, all those notes are all in pentatonic, but that guy is not. So if you just add that, you're gonna mark that chord. Now we can play all the notes, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that's step one, just kind of how to solo over that A7. So over the first chord, you're playing A minor or A pentatonic. And when it gets to that 7, target this G sharp, okay, which is the third of E7, or you can think of the whole harmonic minor scale, which is cool because you've got some nice fingerings for that as well. Okay, but what I was doing is this simple little exercise that I want to show you guys. So now, if we take a arpeggio, let's say in this case, right, or, so we're going to do, we got the root, the third, and the fifth. So make sure you got that look. So here's a great little thing you can do. You slide back a half step from each note of the arpeggio and you get this sound. Really cool sound that was used a lot in like gypsy jazz and stuff like that. In metal, I could name the songs. There's a Foreigner song that goes up. Let's see. I'm not sure if it's the right key, but you can trace this to a lot of, sounds. Okay, and what that is, again, it's just you're taking your arpeggio, da 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 da, right, and you play this little lick. So let me show you a couple patterns. We're gonna get into what I played earlier. Now this is another awesome exercise I'm going to show you real quick. This is really useful. I learned this a long time ago. It's one of the things I use all the time. It's an arpeggio in A minor, and it's the same fingering off every 2 strings, right? So I go to the next group of strings, next group of strings. So that's a really useful way to get around the fretboard. Check it out. So do that a bunch of times, and then add this over every note. Okay, and that's a great riff. You can use that over anything in A minor and kind of get outside a little bit if you play that riff. You can play it over blues, anything. But that's a really cool sound, very distinct sound, and that's what I'm going to use over this chord progression today. So now I'm going to play this arpeggio up here. Look, A, same as this. Again, nice voicing. Look, here's my A minor, here's my A note, and here's the riff. And the way it works out is you can play it up into the next octave. So altogether, you got 4 positions to this lick. Now look what happens here. When I go up to this, I'm playing over the A minor, and I'm timing it right so it plays over that full measure. Now look, even if you don't know what to play, look, there's your E7, right? D7 shape right here. Well, you can see the note that's not in the scale. It's right there. It's that G sharp. We talked about that before. That's the third. So even if you go like this, a half step back, it's really going to mark that chord and sound like you know what you're doing. So it's going to really be a nice way to play over that chord change. Because again, the hardest part about this stuff is like your landing zones, your periods at the end of these statements. So if you know these little tricks, it's going to help you sound a little more articulate when you play these riffs. So riff 1, I went. And again, I'm playing right out of this chord. Right, there's the arpeggio. Here it works over that. Okay, position 2, check this out. Same lick. Now here's another cool little trick. Watch this. Okay, I'm going to stay on that note. And again, it's off this G sharp. Now I'm not going to get too crazy into this, but now this note can act as what's called a diminished chord, okay? So now I can have this sound. It's a great little little trick. So, okay. So again, try not to get too into much of the theory, but just know that that note you land on, again, see it, there's the E7, there's the note. Well, now that note can act as what's called a diminished. You know that sound. So here's a little diminished run. Now look how convenient this is. When I play this riff right here, look at that fingering. Now I just drop it down to the next group of strings, and you got a nice little riff right there. So all together, resolve it on A, or however you want to play it. Now another cool thing about this riff is the way the diminished works is the rules of threes. You know, I talk about this all the time. So now I can move that up or back, you know, up or down 3 frets. Watch this. Or great little trick, man, and you can use it all over. Okay, look up here. Here's my other arpeggio up here. There's that same riff. Here it is here. Okay? And there's all kinds of cool things you can do. Here's another lick. So now I might go like this. There's my E7. Go up in 3s and resolve to A minor. Okay, so you can do that with all those shapes. Going back there, so you're kind of stepping outside a little bit with the sound, right? You're getting a little bit crazy with it. You know, I'm just targeting this chord shape wherever I have it. Okay. Here's another way to think about it. Just play the arpeggio. So if we mess around with this, here's A minor. A minor 7 arpeggio. E7. Right? You can do all kinds of cool exercises. Watch this. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. Right? I can do this right. I don't move my hand if I go. Keep it nice and tight. So you know, I always think about these nice little tight formations when you're playing this. Like you can do this all over the neck, but look. A minor, E7. I like this one. Look, you know, I'm going A minor triad, E major. So you just move. Then you can add the 7. See. Resolving back to A. So guys and girls, I would highly recommend playing around with this because it's such a cool sound. And again, you can find a backing track on my Patreon page and jam over this, or just loop A minor, E7, do your own thing with it. And try these little licks out and really try and mark those chords. It's a cool sound. And I can't thank you guys enough for watching this video. Please hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment, and I'll see you next lesson. Thanks again.